Welcome back to Prairie Wings Performance. I'm Merl Mayer and we are working on the Corvair. This is part of the Corvair series on motivating you to get your hot rod going or starting a project, whatever it is. Hopefully this video series will help you along. What we're doing in this video today is we are tearing it down to get it ready for the next steps. So hopefully you join us. I disassembled the other side, really all well and good, and talked to you guys the whole time. Then I went and had a customer drop another car off and went to stop the video and realized that I didn't hit record. So the other door is disassembled, the sail, everything. So this time, I'm pretty sure I hit record, and I will yank this side apart now, and we'll be good to go. And I think my other side disassembly was lots of blah, 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 so I'm just going to disassemble. Armrest is missing on this door. Nothing really to see, 3 screws. It was missing before it got here and it's not in the car. Someone had this part before. Clip is put on backwards. Should go on this other way, which we'll assemble later, and then this tool just goes in and unclips it. Once you rotate the clips on felts, I'll show you with the camera. You can reuse a felt. These are not getting reused, they're worn out, but you just gotta bend the clip so it comes out without having to do any difficulty, and just roll it open. And if you have to reuse them, you can pinch them shut again. But so normally these are squished down. If you just rotate it out, then they just lift out. Don't fight with them. If I was reusing this, I'd be using a plastic tool on it too. I have everything blown apart in this door that I want apart right now.
I'm going to leave the locking mechanism, the door latch stuff in, and the reason why is I want to be able to get in and out of this car. So I've assembled the clips and everything and be able to test drive this thing with the doors not flopping around. So windows, all that, it's done. So now what's going to happen is this is getting cataloged on that sheet and put in the box. And so we'll still have to rebuild some of this stuff as it goes back together, but we know what parts that we need to order to do that stuff.
There's an old saying about an elephant, and being this is a car video, it doesn't have anything to do with Hemis, even though they're referred to as an elephant motor. So the old saying goes, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that absolutely makes sense. And I'm not eating a Hemi. Not a chance am I ever going to eat a Hemi. I'd like to own one day, an old one. But this is more about the mouse. And there is a story about a mouse and an elephant. This has nothing to do with it. What this has to do with is, how do you remove this cardboard tar-lined headliner that is in this car, and it happens to be soaked in mouse urine? Well, very carefully, 1 inch at a time. Can call me a wimp, but this is pretty gross. I know you probably can't tell what I'm saying, but if you can, yucky. So the progress on the Corvair, well, she's getting ripped apart. So, cleaned out all the mice that I can find so far. I'm sure there's going to be more. The front end is a little bit of a chaos situation with tools and so on, which is what it is. But one thing that I wanted to point out. So when you take the car apart and you recognize that there's problems with putting it back together, now is the time that you really want to fix it. I'm not a body man. The body men are going to be, painting all this, but there's a very good chance that I will be assembling everything. So what I ran into on this car, someone had the cowl off before, probably working on the wipers or something. It's been painted, and the paint job, you can see, the cowl wasn't off. So someone working on this car way back when, don't know what the problem is. Well, there's little tabs that fit in little slots inside. I don't know if you can see, yeah. So inside there. And what somebody did is there was the outside tab here was good. This tab was folded down. This one was actually folded. I guess I can show you. This one was actually folded up. That one was down, and that one was on the far end was down. And by doing that, the cowl probably fit, but I mean, they probably did it because it was easier to install, and who knows, back in 68, flat rate, I don't even know if it was a thing everywhere or if it was done at a shop, whatever. But anyway, what's happened with folding that is we'll just show you here. Actually, I'll go to the other side. So what's happened with this is, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see, but this is just a thin tin piece on here, and it is just destroyed, warbled mess. And this is kind of bent as well because of what all was done. So the goal here is to make it, I took and I trimmed these off a little bit to make it so that when it's over the wipers, that these are easy to slide in and out. Normally the hood's going to be off when we're doing this, and the hood hinges, but there's spring in there, so on. So I thought, if I'm doing this, I may as well make the correction. Trimming these a little bit shorter isn't going to hurt, and bending these tabs proper isn't going to hurt anything. It's going to help everything go back together. But now is the time to fix all of these warbles and so on. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a straight edge on these. Even though it's curved, you can see the differences in the curve, and these were never perfect. There's lots of parts on the car. You can see that there was no body filler or anything used, and And they aren't perfect. These cars weren't perfect. But now is the time that I'm going to make this cowl fit the car properly. Why do we care? Well, first of all, we're doing a resto. We want it to be right. But second of all, if we don't fix stuff like this, we're going to have a rattly car going down the road. Yeah, you might be able to, you know, get away with hiding some stuff and whatever if you didn't want to do it right. But I think, well, I know in the long run, it's going to be a problem of rattles and things that just aren't done right. And that's not the way we do it. And then we're going to have to, this is low here, right in here. So we're going to have to fix things like that. But I mean, it's not in place, but when it's in place, it's even lower. So I'm going to modify this so that the hood gap fits to the cowl fits to the windshield, and it'll all be good. The body shop is going to get all these parts, and they're going to be dealing with making sure that the filler and the paint and everything lines up properly on this. But the big thing about this is the body shop has already expressed, yes, you know, if you can go ahead and get all the metalwork roughed out and we can finish it. And so I do lots of that for body shops. I'm not a body man, but I love metal. So I am going to work on getting that all straightened out. Now, with that being said, there's a pile of screws that come out of this and all that. So when you're restoring your car, you want to make sure that you keep track of every single thing that comes out. So I found some stuff. So I got the dash out. I got everything kind of laid out. The harness, as I take it out, even though it's being replaced, I don't know what kind of harness we're getting, but I want to mark everywhere that I need to for plugs and stuff. And then I've got this organized. So we got need to get stuff. I have a list, a big order coming. I have lots of bags, and I just write on the bags everything that's going on. Now, when I took the dash apart in the console area, the screws in here and the clips aren't correct and they don't match. But some of them are, so I have noted that on here. And then when they get sorted into boxes, so I have these labeled boxes, and I put the detail of exactly what's going in, what hardware, everything. So all these boxes get labeled. When these bags go into the boxes, they're going to go into the appropriate boxes and get labeled. And that way, when this goes back together, I mean, every single thing on the back side is labeled, where it needs to go, how it needs to go. And then I also photo document, as well as now, since I've been doing this stuff, I am video documenting as well, which is kind of made life easier. I think I wish I would have been doing that for a long time, because sometimes stuff doesn't line up properly. But anyway, there you go. So this is what we're at right now, and the car is coming along nicely. It is you know, got lots of little dings and things from over the year. I do believe it's a low mileage car, and absolutely everything that we're pulling apart, we are making notes of what we need to order, where things go, and fixing anything before it comes apart that we need to fix. So gaps and so on. So there is a quick update, and just trying to keep you posted with how things are. So none of this stuff is labeled or put into boxes or stuff yet, but all of the screws and all the hardware is. So she is coming along. I shaped the front of the windshield in quite a bit better. Like I say, I'm not a body man, and so I'm going to leave the body shop do the remainder of straightening and lining and gapping that all. The levels, you know, this is quite a bit better. They're going to go through that. And how I know that is I actually was working on the bottom of the hood. And so this whole middle part here, I don't know if you can see, it's pretty straight right now. The hole needs a little bit of an adjustment, but what I was doing is I was working on this hole and on the bottom ribs, and then I'm using my light to see the dents. And I don't know why I didn't beforehand, but I knew that we had to fix this. And then up here, this was all wrinkled in, and there was a bunch of garbage in here, and I fixed it all up. But I knew I had to fix this, the hood itself on top, leaving it for the body man. Well, lo and behold, fixing that, notice that is got some serious handiwork to it, the rib further down here. And so, then I noticed there's more here. And so I went and closed the hood on this, and lo and behold, I find out there's a bunch of weird creases in by the hinges. someone has taken a pry bar in and pried around a bunch on there. And the whole front of the car, I don't have the hood latch in proper, but the whole front of the car, the gaps are all wacky and the hood still isn't fit in the front properly. And if you look, these cars are very unique and very cool. They do not have detachable fenders, which is very unique on a Chevy. So what has to happen is something that I'd rather not deal with. I'm leaving underneath the hood. I actually did bend the hood. So when I had the front end perfect and the back end is very close, it's a little bit low. I could literally fit my fingers under here. So, and on the hood on this side, the big bow was here. And on this side, the big bow was back here. And so this hood, I mean, now I have it where the front end, when you line one side up, the other side is level, but the gap is off. So the whole front of the car needs to get tweaked over. So the body shop, I already had them here, talked to them, and they have agreed to, like, they're body men, and they have, you know, frame pullers and so on. It's going to be easier for them to tweak this front end over. And so I roughed out some sheet metal up front as well. So this quarter panel has filler in it and stuff. We've checked it, looked at it pretty close. It's actually, looks like it was from body damage, not rust, which is beautiful. But the back end, the same thing. Yeah, I guess we'll close it up. So the body line on the deck lid or hood doesn't line up. This gap is huge up here, and it's quite tight there. And when I close it, it gets big here, tighter here, and you can actually see they've done some body work here, maybe to open the gap up. I don't know if you can see how rough that is, but anyway, I'm going to be doing a little bit more roughing out that the body shop said, hey, why don't you do that? Because you're the guy that makes the panels, metal stuff, whatever. They're going to tweak the whole car. So I have, so you see this side's been dinged pretty hard. That's dinged there. So I'm going to be doing that kind of stuff. But in your restoration, when you are taking it apart, it is very important for you to take a look at it and see, okay, what am I going to have to do? And if you're doing the paint, well, you're going to have equipment to do that. And it's not worth it for me to do it. I can do all the metal work. I can shape. I can do all that stuff. But it's going to be way cheaper and easier for them to take and yank the front end over with their equipment than me to cut stuff apart or set up stuff that isn't proper tooling to do it. Could I? Yeah. Why would I, when it's going to save the customer a whole bunch of money for them to do that? So I'm going to continue on the metalworking stuff, and they're going to pull this car straight. So it's not a nice find, but it's a good find. And so anyway, that is where we are right now. As I'm ripping this car apart, so what I ran into here is this was hit super hard, and it was folded way up, and this was creased way in. Now, I'll show you from the other side, but it was affecting the throttle. I haven't really, like I drove this car short distance, the engine's hurt, but you know, yeah, I guess I'll just show you the details from the other side here. So, but as you're pulling stuff apart, I don't know if you can't do the metalwork, document how stuff goes together so the body shop or whoever's doing your metalwork can get in to do the repairs. So this thing was hamburgered, like this was just creased and wrecked up into here. So this edge, I'm sure the car was hung up on it. The gas tank doesn't show major damage, but this was really damaged. And so the undercover was damaged, this was damaged. And if you were to take this to a body shop with the whole thing stripped out because you're trying to save some money, and you get it back painted and the panels don't line up, you're gonna have an issue. So the key is get the panels fixed, fitted, and then when it comes back, you know, even if the body shop, I haven't got this totally perfect. It's really good. You could paint it, no one would know. This being a show car, they're probably going to touch this a little bit. And anyways, you want this all done so the body shop doesn't have to figure this stuff out if you're trying to save that dollar. So we'll just flip to the other side. This car is going on a rotisserie. This repair is easy enough to do in this position, but this is the part that was all folded under enough where this was actually right against here. And the throttle itself, this is the gas pedal up in the floor and the rod that comes back here, and lots of play in the rod. I'm probably gonna modify something in here, put something in so that it doesn't create a rattle in on the bottom of this, because this hanging down could actually touch that. I might do some bending, I'm not sure exactly, we'll figure it out. But having said that, if someone has a Corvair with damage on this and they don't know why there's a, throttle problem, well, if this is all hammered in, this action right here is pushing the throttle linkage on the carburetors right now. So you're going to want to make sure that this is repaired. This is a prime example of what I'm talking about. So if you look here, this is supposed to be totally flat and this is supposed to be straight. So at the back where these panels met up, this goes on here like this. And this thing was really hammered. This whole edge was all peeled down. This corner was all peeled down. I know I didn't clean it up and it's not perfect, but this is the bottom of the car. And I really don't think absolutely this isn't going to be something that's sitting on a mirror. It's going to be something he's driving. But if I was to put this together now without fixing it, well, I can't even come close to where the screw hole is in here. And this right here lines up beautifully now. But you got to fix stuff like this as you're going along. Another thing that you want to make sure that you're doing if you are trying to do your own resto before it goes to the body shop, and if you are the body man and going to do it, I discard this because you already know. So this thing is going to be on a rotisserie. This is all the junk and crap that has been scraped off the back there. So the body shop's going to get in, do what they need to do, but it used to be full of all that big old junky seam sealer, all that crap. I've already started cleaning a bunch of it off, but that stuff kind of chunks off, falls off. Some of it's stuck real good, and if you get all that off, that's going to save the body shop a ton of time. Now this kind of area in here and up in there, there's a bunch of mouse urine, all those stains and so on up there, and a bunch in here. The black mark going down there is not, but a lot of that stuff is mouse urine. So you're going to really want to make sure that you mask up and get rid of as much of that as possible. I don't know what the body shop is going to do for blasting in here. I don't usually blasting warps a bunch of stuff, so I don't think they're going to be blasting that, but I'm not sure. I'm going to clean it anyway to get rid of that, because I'm sure the guys in the body shop don't want to deal with all the urine and crap. When you are dealing with all that crap, the tools I'm using are a hand brush and a wire brush. There you can see the teeth are down, a scraper. Now, big caution, you gotta not be aggressive, especially on an outer panel. So I have to scrape all of that stuff off, as well as inside the doors. I have been working, you want to do it quite gently, because inside the doors, I don't know, tough to see, there's a bunch of stuff that I have to scrape off inside the doors, because that stuff is going to chunk off and fall off into the paint. And so yeah, I'm going to see if I can get a light set up so we can look inside the door. So you can see what the factory rock guard seam sealer stuff has underneath it, and literally, like, you do not want to get aggressive with that stuff. It is old and chunky, and it does definitely come off. You just want to not be aggressive with it. So yeah, if you did end up getting aggressive in there, this is a thin panel, you're gonna see it out here. So when you're playing with your car, take time so that you're not making more work for the body shop. You're trying to save them time. There was definitely the thought of, oh yippee, this thing doesn't have any mouse damage because it doesn't stink like mice in here anymore. Well, this thing was in storage for a lot of years. A guy had it for years, and anyways, I pulled the other side of the headliner down. I'm expecting to see the same thing in here, because these edges on these are glued and there's a trim around. So this is glued, there's a trim around here, but when I pulled the welting off, The glue is kind of released here, so I'm assuming it's going to be like the other side. These mice, their urine kind of eats everything away, but yeah, we're going to get crap coming out. So yeah, I think the mice were definitely living in the roof of this as well. So not as bad as the other side, but now I'm gonna go mask up. I'm just sitting kind of outside the car with the mask off here. Yeah, it's disgusting. This car reeks. Reeky, reeky, reeky. She's pretty nasty. Looks can be really deceiving. This headliner looked like it was beautiful. I was actually considering reusing it, and then I looked a little closer in one of the corners, and I'm like, I don't know. That's before I even realized how many mice were in here. And so, anyway, she's definitely not nice. Not nice. Just got to slip that one rib out. And then take this nastiness out. Now the headliner's out. This is all chewed and grossly stained along that edge really bad. This is, I don't know what's going on. This side here is grody. And I just started scraping out some of this, and just the stench. When I started scraping, I thought I could maybe unmask. But yeah, this is some pretty thick goo garbage on the roof that I got to get off. So this is another thing. You can't really just get in there and jam at it, because if you do that, we're going to replace it. But if you get in there and jam at it, you're gonna make some marks in the top of the roof of this. So be very careful when you are scraping this garbage out. And yeah, it's pretty gross. So let the fun begin. Shower after this. Man, I hit the super fast forward button and you didn't even get to see it all happen. Yeah, it is all cleaned up in the interior, clean vacuumed. We had to do a lot of work. The headliner was so soaked in urine, every bit of that needed to be scraped out. And plans have changed a little bit with the car, and that is we are going to get this thing actually plastic blasted, and then any of the rest lasered. But the interior, she's looking pretty sweet for right now. One of the other changes that has happened is this is really kind of shown up, reared its ugly head. So there's a whole bunch of damage to the quarter panel here. There was a bunch of damage to the opposite rear corner over there. And there's also damage in the front end that is shown up. So once this is plastic blasted, we can see all that damage. We're not going to send it to plastic blast before we take care of a couple issues. If we take a look at the deck lid here, what's happened, because the panels on the car they're fixed. We actually have to have the back of the car bent into shape. So what I mean is the panel right here is really tight and it's gapped up here. And then it is completely opposite on the other side. We got a gap that's larger here. And then as it gets up there, it's quite tight. So I have to, if you look here, we did the tear down where the engine's out, we're working on the fuel injection and so on. In order for the body shop to pull this straight, we have to reassemble it, the motor, everything. So I'm gonna get the fuel injection all going, and then we're gonna make it run so the body shop can move it around. We're gonna have to do the disc brake conversion and stuff. So hopefully you check those videos out. We're gonna have this thing back together. They're gonna pull it straight. Then we're gonna have to disassemble it again, send it away for blasting, and then carry on. But the front end, I'll just take you around from there and we'll take a look at that too. All right, what highlighted the car that it was twisted was actually me needing to deal with the hood. So the hood was actually had quite a bow in the front, a little bit of a bow here and a bow there. So the bow was kind of opposite on this hood. And as I straightened it out, well, the gap of the hood has changed. So it's very tight here, very big there, very big here, very tight there. And as I straightened this hood out, you can see that the car was twisted because I'm assuming these hoods were straight, not bowed. And I know they weren't bowed because underneath the hood, I had to do a bunch of work in the bracing that was wrinkled to get this straightened. So the hood still needs to be touched up. The body shop's going to do that. that sent me to the trunk, and I found the same thing. It almost looked like whoever did the bodywork on this way back in the 70s probably or whatever actually twisted the hood and the trunk to make it straight. So needs to get put back on the wheels, and the body shop is going to address those problems. Thank you so much for joining us as we got this car ready for the next steps. This car is a long-term project. There's going to be lots of other great videos out on it, and so hopefully you join us on that journey of the rest of the videos. And you can see in the background there's a lot of other projects going on, so lots of videos for you to check out. Hopefully some of my videos will help you out and things that you're doing, and if you wouldn't mind, please like, share, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it.